The 2 eggs in the gentle cradle of the hills, where mist rolled in like a sleepy blanket and the scent of wildflowers floated on every breeze, there stood a quiet little village named Eldenbrook. It was the kind of place where every face was familiar, and the seasons were marked not just by weather, but by shared stories and traditions. On the very edge of this village, where the fields began to melt into woods and the lanes grew narrow and winding, lived Mela, an elderly woman with silver hair tied always in a neat bun and eyes that held the calm of 1,000 sunsets. Her small stone cottage, covered in ivy and framed with flowering shrubs, was her sanctuary, a place of warmth and simplicity. Mela lived alone, but she was not lonely. Her faithful companion was a brown hen named Tilly, a plump, waddling bird with a knowing look and an unshakable loyalty to her mistress. Every morning, Mela would open her wooden door to the soft, rhythmic clucking of Tilly, who'd already laid a single, perfect egg in the hay-lined nest beside the old oak tree. "One is plenty," Mela would whisper, lifting the egg with care, "and we are rich with enough." She would boil the egg, slice a loaf of her homemade bread, and enjoy her breakfast with a cup of nettle tea, looking out the window at her modest garden where carrots, onions, and herbs grew. Whatever she had left over, she shared with neighbors. In winter, she knitted woolen scarves and socks to trade at the village market. In summer, she gave away apples from her tree and lavender from her fence line. Life was gentle and quiet, and that was just the way Mela liked it. Then came one spring morning, bright and humming with birdsong, when Mela opened the nest and gasped softly. Not 1, but 2 eggs sat nestled in the hay, both smooth and warm, side by side like twins. "Tilly, my dear," she said, turning to the hen who watched her with a tilted head, "what are you up to?" Stretched her wings, and strutted off toward the garden like a queen. Mela chuckled, shook her head, and carefully carried the eggs inside. She ate one and, with a smile, placed the second in a basket. That day, she walked down the lane and gave the spare egg to old Berta, the widow who lived alone with her cat. Berta blinked, surprised. "Just giving it away?" Mela nodded. "2 is too much for me, but perhaps just right for you." And so began a gentle new rhythm in Mela's life. 2 eggs each morning, 1 for herself, and 1 for someone else, a neighbor, a hungry child, a tired farmhand. Word spread fast. Eldenbrook was a small place, and miracles were rare enough to be cherished. Soon, people began to come, first out of curiosity, then with suggestions, then with offers. "You could start a business," said the miller's wife, eyes wide. "Let's build a bigger coop," offered the carpenter. "More hens. Multiply your blessings." "You could be rich," said a merchant from the next town over. "Sell the eggs in the city. People would pay a fortune." At first, Mela only smiled politely. "Thank you," she'd say, "but I'm quite content." But the visitors didn't stop. They came with ledgers and diagrams, dreams of turning her cottage into an empire. Some even brought other hens, trying to compare them to Tilly. Others poked and prodded, asking what Mela fed her, what rituals she followed, what breed the hen was. Mela's mornings lost their stillness. Tilly became nervous, hiding behind Mela's skirts, and her soft clucks turned to sharp, anxious calls. One evening, after yet another group had trampled her garden in their excitement, Mela found Tilly trembling in her coop. She sat down beside her and whispered, "I never asked for more. We were happy, weren't we?" Tilly cooed and nestled into Mela's lap. That night, Mela made a decision. A return to enough **** the next morning. She rose early and painted a sign. "No sales, no farm, no visitors, please. This is a home of peace. We give what we can, but we seek no more." She hung the sign by the garden gate and closed it gently. Many were surprised. Some were disappointed. A few were even angry. But in time, the villagers remembered who Mela was. Not a woman chasing gold or glory, but one who had always given freely, without ever asking in return. And slowly, life returned to its gentle rhythm. Mela and Tilly resumed their peaceful days. The extra egg still went to someone in need, always quietly, often anonymously. Sometimes it was the baker's son after a fever. Sometimes it was left in a basket at the church for anyone to take. There were days when there was only one egg again, and Mela was just as thankful. She tended her garden, read her poetry, knitted shawls, sat under the apple tree with Tilly on her lap, watching the sun melt into the hills. And when children asked, why didn't she try to become rich, the elders would answer, because she already was. She had peace, and she shared it. In a world where more was never enough, Mela chose enough, and that made all the difference.